All right, everyone, welcome to this live stream. So I started doing this more often. I try to do a live stream session every week now, and try to relate or at least converse with some of you and see what's going on in your careers and how I can help or contribute to your learning progress. And ask away. Let me just turn this off here for a second. One thing I'll add is if you notice some of the courses that I've launched on Udemy as well as on my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com, those courses are they're fundamental software development courses. They're definitely one notch below JavaScript courses or UI courses because I feel like UI changes so often. Every couple of months, there's a new framework. And what happens in these coding boot camps, in my opinion, and maybe some of you have had experience in coding boot camps, is they might teach you, for example, React.js, or there were some that were teaching the old Angular, and that was very different than the new version of Angular. So people that graduate with those old Angular courses had to relearn the whole thing because it was not backward compatible. So they get stuck in a technology like that changes often. Now, let's say they get a job in Angular and now they're looking for work, and Angular, let's say, goes out of fashion. In UI, that happens a lot. Now they have to learn a totally new framework, right? So now they're learning React.js, right? React Native and React.js is, kind of interchangeable, but native is for cross-platform development. But anyway, there's learning curves involved there, right? And then you've got Ember.js, you've got Node.js for server side, you've got Ext.js. There's so many different Vue.js. Every couple of months later, there's a new JavaScript framework that comes out, and it's considered the new trendy thing to learn. And a lot of people, in my opinion, these are surface level programmers where they don't get down to I guess they don't have the time or the energy or the opportunity to learn the fundamental technologies of what makes good software development, like API development or learning about web services or how to create contracts and programming interfaces, between different objects and construct software objects or refactor code. They're stuck in the surface level, learning how to make this freaking button work on this mobile, on this phone versus that one or a website. And that is a very time-consuming process that you can get lost in, frankly. And so I try to keep my courses more fundamental, lower. Java is an excellent language. It's the most popular programming language in the world, and it has been like that for the past 15 years, I would say, maybe 20 years, and it's still kicking, right? Projects today are being developed in Java, and so that's a fundamental skill. You want to invest time in things that don't change as often, right? If you're going to build a house, don't build it on a floating dock, right? Build it on a hard surface. You need to have a strong foundation. Data structures and algorithms needs to constantly be learned, and because you will forget them if you don't practice. And they are the number one tool that you'll need for passing interviews when you're trying to switch careers or switching jobs, rather. Hopefully, you don't choose a different career. Hopefully, you stick with this career because this is really the best career in terms of your flexibility, in terms of your employability, in terms of the kind of opportunities you can create for yourself, whether you want to create a startup or whether you want to work for a company, what have you. But really, this is, sticking with the fundamentals, getting really good at database architecture and application architecture, object-oriented programming, design patterns. These things are what really make a software developer a great software developer. And these things need to be strengthened continuously. But anyway, that's why I don't focus on UI courses. Some of you have asked me questions about, hey, UI, why don't you create any UI courses? And I could. I mean, I know quite a bit of React.js. I've been down the rabbit hole of Angular as well, but it's just not something I'm interested in creating right now. Another fundamental skill, I'm going through this book called Mastering Blockchain. It's by Imran Bashir, and this is an excellent book in terms of just understanding the overall landscape of blockchain, understanding the fundamentals, different type of consensus mechanisms, and there's different cryptocurrencies are discussed in this. And obviously, the future is future of fintech finance is going to be cryptocurrencies. And obviously, I know there's a lot of up and down in the markets and so on. And that's just going to happen. That's just the way the space is right now because it's a new space. But getting yourself, getting yourself experienced with this and learning as much as you can about this, this is the right time because that's where a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. So that's just a career choice that you could potentially make. And I'm actually working on finishing this book and completing a project with another company right now. It's sort of a side gig that I have going on. We're building blockchain stuff with creating Solidity contracts. So I'm actually going to create a course on jobreadyprogrammer.com for those of you that are not on. Make sure to use the coupon link for that. I'll provide a coupon if you need. I might add it to the description of this video. But let me see what some of you guys are saying here. Let's catch up. Please tell us how to become a Python developer in 2021. I mean, what skills are needed for Python developer? So obviously, you need to learn. You need to be really good at programming scripts. You need to understand the command line and create Python scripts in Linux, as well as Python programs. Not only command line programs, but also maybe Django. Django is an excellent framework for website development. It's a full stack framework for Python. You can build UI components and server side and create web services, middle tier server side, and of course the UI. And Django allows for that. So that's something if you want, you can do that. Or the other path is data analytics and data visualization. I've got a course on jobreadyprogrammer.com. It's not on Udemy. Some courses I keep off of the platform. But I've got a course on Python data analytics. It was developed by a colleague of mine, an ex-colleague, he's an incredibly smart guy. He also talks about AI and teaches pandas and NumPy and their scikit-learn and stuff like that in the Python course called Python for Data Analytics and Visualization. It's not listed on my main site if you go there, but when you sign up, it's like a little gift that I offer. So that's a great course. That's another path you can take. You could, if you want to get into Python development, you can go that route, the data analytics route. If you've already studied the SQL courses, you're pretty much ready to take on the Python role. And then for Python data analytics and visualization, you'd need to pick up some skills on stats, learn more about stats and probability and regression, different types of regressions. And I think he talks about that in that course. And you don't have to learn Django then, right? Django is more for UI or full stack development. If you want to do, there's two paths in Python. You could take one, the data path, or the other one, the full stack path, and you can choose which one, okay? Let's see what else you guys are saying. All right, so Naga is saying, Imtiaz sir, I'm doing good at my Java work on Spring Boot application at the office, but I'm not able to crack any Java interview. Could you please help me how to prepare for Java interviews with 5 years of experience? So Naga, if you have 5 years of experience in Java, you want to make sure that the thing is, when you work for a certain company for too long, or you might be in a space for too long, you might learn a couple of things very well, but since you've been focused on that one area, you might not get exposure to some of the other components that are involved in building an application. If your team is big and you're only worried about working on one section of the code, you might just get really focused on that and lose some of the other skills that are required for the interview. And some of the things that I can think of is, if you're building a Spring app, are you using component scans, and are you using all the different annotations that are there? Do you know, have you taken the project from beginning to end? Have you deployed it in production? I don't know what level or what degree you're involved in that project, but you want to make sure that you have exposure to the entire gamut of technologies in what you're working with, and then try to expand within that company or within that project. But also, it's not enough to just build forms all day and go home. You have to continue to learn and study the stuff. So I'm curious as to what aspects of the interview that you don't get right. You have to continue to learn and expand your skill sets. You can't just go a 9-to-5 job and then come home and watch TV. You got to continue maybe reading. Like the other day, I started reading this book. the ascent of money, because there's a lot of crazy things happening in finance. So I constantly read all the time, and I continue to improve my knowledge, and I recommend every single person to expand your knowledge base by learning and reading and seeing what's happening in the world, and not just be narrowly focused on one thing. You don't want to build forms and go home. Expand your knowledge base and learn more. Maybe there are some soft skills that you're missing that you need to work on, right? And that will take, analysis, self-analysis, and self-assessment. Maybe ask your colleagues honestly, and ask them to, review tell you what are some areas that you can improve, without taking what they say too critically, because obviously that would just be their opinion. But if you ask 10 people and 10 people seem to say the same thing, then chances are that might be an area you should work on, and that requires a tremendous amount of honesty and honestly, bravery on your part to explore that and make sure that you're not missing anything obvious. Sometimes we're really lost in our own world, and we kind of develop in a certain way, and sometimes we need to expand beyond that. Okay. What else are you? So Zoe, hi from France. Hello, Zoe. Welcome. Explain, please, how can I find project as a beginner freelancer? I mean, we want to start to work on our own. Thanks a lot. So Zoe is asking, how do I create a freelance? How do I get into freelancing? Right? Have you checked freelance.org or Upwork? Sometimes what you have to do, and this is just a trick, you got to create a portfolio first. You have to, on your profile. Well, let's visit. I'm gonna open up Upwork here real quick, and let's see. Let's see some good profiles versus bad ones. So if you want to be a freelancer, I'll tell you what you need to do, and what's a good profile and what's a bad one. Let's review this together. So let's look for talent. So here are some. There's different jobs on here. Let me see if I can search talent. So let's say you want to be a Java developer or something. You want to get Java developer contracts on Upwork. First of all, what's important when a client looks for an applicant is a job success rate. Right, so this person has a high job success rate, and sometimes you might have to create your own job, all right, and make it free. You don't have to pay yourself. Make it free and build a product, build a tool, right, and pass and show that it has a 99 success rate. I mean, obviously there is a little, you are kind of bumping into areas of morality there in a way. But if you're just starting out on a business and you're confident that you have a good ability to take care of your business and build something cool, you need to create a profile. You need to create a history of work. Maybe pick up something for free for somebody, right? And ask them, hey, can you create the project on Upwork.com and let me complete it for free? I'll do it for free, so that you can build that profile. You need to have a portfolio on here. So let's look at this guy's profile. He's charging $90 an hour, and he has a 99% success rate. His senior full stack developer, WordPress expert, custom themes, plugin development. So if we look at his profile, we can see he lists exactly his experience, what he's worked with, 11 plus years, and all the technologies that he has. But most people won't look at this as much as they would his success rate, 99% success rate. This is more important than what's written here. Obviously, this is just as important. If I'm hiring him as an Angular or React.js developer or Java developer, I need to see that in his profile. If he has Spring, if I'm hiring for a Spring project or a database project, I need to see that. If he has used Oracle or not. If it's not listed here, then chances are I'm not going to hire him. But if he has it listed here and he has a 99% success rate, then of course I'm going to hire him. So when you build your profile, you want to look at other people's profiles and feel free to not copy what they have, but take inspiration from what they're showing on their profile and use that on your profile, right? It's a basics of marketing 101. So Dodo is saying hello from Romania. Hey, how you doing? Hope everything's okay. Hello from Trinidad. Hello, Angelina. Um, so I get this question a lot. Harun is asking, can you be a developer without finishing school? So the answer to this varies based on the questioner. There are two types of the two types of people that ask me this question. One that have not completed college because they just are lazy, I guess, and they wanted to get out of school early. And for them, I would recommend, you have to, if you didn't have enough discipline to complete college because you were lazy, don't think you'll have enough discipline to actually learn software development on your own because it's a lot of work. That's the answer that I would have for the person that is lazy. For the person that is aggressive and was, working hard in high school and excelled in his classes, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm not cut out for college because it's going to slow me down. I need to really get to work. Then for a person like that, I'd say, hey, still start college, but start working on the side. Get a job on the side or start building something, building an idea, an app, an idea that you have. Just start building it out, build a portfolio, have it on GitHub, show off your skills, and start applying. And people will hire you. And chances are, if you get a job, you may not need to complete college, but it's recommended because it just makes it easier for your future self and for the future of your career, because HR still has that requirement. They need to see that 4-year degree, otherwise they throw away the resume. A lot of, it's sad, but they're still doing that, and that is really to filter out those candidates that are lazy and just skip school and don't want to do school because of laziness. They need to filter out those kind of candidates. So you kind of have to, you want to make sure your resume gets recognized, even though you're a hardworking guy. They wouldn't know unless you have some proof. So you need to create social proof. You need to create a portfolio online, have a GitHub page, and then also, of course, apply to the different jobs and be ready to pass that interview. And just having a degree, it doesn't have to be in computer science. That degree could be honestly in anything. As long as you have the skills and you can show that you have discipline, that's how they're going to hire you. So G. Patrick Bryant is saying, greetings from Athens. Hello from Athens. Hello from New York. All right, someone is saying hello. Hello, guys. Hope everything's okay in India. I know that you guys are facing a terrible pandemic situation there. I hope everyone's okay. So Ilyas is asking, hello, nice to see you. Hello, everyone from Houston. Jamada is welcome. So Mitch is asking, hello, I'm new here and I would like to, how can I become a software developer, essentially is a question. Check out my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. There's two paths. There's the longer path, which is a software development path. Software development requires a wider, it's a longer path. The breadth of knowledge is wide for software development, for a full stack software developer. What I recommend is for people to focus on the narrower, lower barrier of entry, learn SQL first and get hired first, right? And then if you want to learn the rest of the stack, learn it on the weekends. But SQL, there's a lot of jobs in data. Data is mission critical. Data is every company's biggest asset, and there's jobs in SQL development everywhere, no matter where you are, remote jobs, in-person jobs. So you really gotta, focus on data first. That's what I teach. All right, Mitch. So check out my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. By the way, guys, if you like what I have to say, make sure to like this video. We need to get more likes and get as many people on board into this. And I want to help as many people as I can. And really, the best way to spread the word is get the social proof, get the likes. If you like what I have to say, make sure to share this video, like the content. Thank you very much. Let's continue here. All right, so hi. So far, I have 8 months of experience and currently working. I feel like I'm an intermediate developer. What's the next step to become an expert in software development? So, Seth, I don't know if that's your name, but it seems I'm not sure. I won't pronounce it. But you're saying that you have 8 months of experience, and you feel like you're an intermediate developer. I would say you're not an intermediate developer just yet. 8 months of experience is a very short period of time. I'd say you're a beginner still. It takes about 2 years of working at a job as a software developer to start to shake off that new feeling and to shake off that that imposter syndrome that one would experience. Obviously, that imposter syndrome will stay with you for the rest of your life, no matter where you go. But you need to be able to shake that off, and you need to have confidence to blow through things. And so the 8 months is, I'm glad you have the confidence of saying that I'm an intermediate developer, but it takes longer to be an intermediate developer. So don't jump to conclusions just yet. You might be a really good developer, but don't call yourself an intermediate developer, because you might actually, you know, set yourself up to not be as proficient as you should in terms of your learning or in terms of how aggressive you are in your career. Okay. So 8 months is still a beginner. Up to 2 years is still a beginner developer. And then after 2 years is when you really start to feel comfortable at dealing with projects and looking at code. All right. So what is the next step to become an expert? Obviously, it just takes time. Expert takes, I wouldn't even, I've been developing software for 15 years. I don't want to call myself an expert, because the spectrum of expert, of someone that's an expert is just so huge. There's no real experts here. We're all students. Me, you, all of us in software development, no matter who you are. You have to continue to learn. So there's no such thing as an expert. When I see a new code base in a new company, let's say I join a new company tomorrow and I've never seen their code, I'm not going to read it like I read this book, right? This is a book. I could just read it like a story. That code, I'm not going to read like a book because I'm new to it. I'm going to be a noob in that company. I might be able to read code faster than other people that don't have the experience, but I'm still going to have to really take care, really go through each and every single line and try to ask the right questions from different people and try to figure out what the heck is going on in the code base, right? So there's no experts here. We're all students and we're all growing and getting better at software development. So the term expert software developer, anyone that calls himself an expert software developer, I think is, you want to remain a student if you really want to be a good software developer. So Bagura Robert is saying, hi, brother. What about Amazon, AWS, Microsoft, Azure, and Google Cloud future job market? Which is the best? So for future jobs, I mean, AWS is huge. It's used throughout the world. AWS is, Microsoft Azure, it's huge. So both of these, just pick one and learn it really, really well. That's the idea. Don't scatter your skills around too much. Like if you want to be a cloud developer, focus on one thing at a time. Get hired in one thing at a time. Don't learn Azure and AWS and start applying to both kinds of jobs. You got to focus on one thing at a time. All right, so let's see what else are you guys saying. So Shivam is saying, bro, how much questions to do on DS, data structures algorithms, so that all topics and different type of questions will be cleared? So you have the traditional data structures algorithms questions, right? There's two types of questions. One, create a binary search tree, right? And you'd have to code that data structure. The other one would be find this element in this list in a binary search way, right? These things are relatively easy. That's really just learning the algorithm itself. But then you might come across a problem where there's a linked list, for example, and it might be a circular linked list, and one of the elements is missing or something, or the code is broken, and you have to go in there and fix that code so the linked list is complete. That's another type of problem. All those types of problems, you can never do enough of those to really have the entire all problem solved. It doesn't work like that, because anybody could create any problem with any data structure, right? What you really need to work on is to prepare for interviews and to be really solid in your programming skills is complete all the assignments. And I've talked about this in the previous live stream. Complete all the assignments on CodingBat. CodingBat.com. So these are the different types of assignments, and they have warm-ups here, string manipulation, recursion, functional programming, maps, and so on. These are excellent. Okay, the more problems you do here, the easier it will be for you to really master these problems don't have to do with data structures and algorithms per se, but these problems focus on the granular components that could be challenging in coding problems. And data structures and algorithms, or any coding interview question, is going to be granular to a certain extent, and you can't be bogged down with trying to figure out, is this going to be an array out of bounds exception error because I wrote this code a certain way. Like, you can't be thinking about that. That should just be, your fingers should be doing the work rather than getting bogged down with the smaller problems. If you don't have enough practice solving the more granular components, your mind is going to spend too much time figuring out the granular components, whereas it should be worried about the bigger picture and building an app. So the more granular problems you do like this on Coding Bat, the stronger software developer you'll be, because you're just the granular component problems, your fingers are going to take care of the work, and you won't be using up too much of your brain resources, CPU in your head, its resources on the granular components. You could worry about the bigger problem. Okay, so that's important. It's not just about learning data structures algorithms, it's about doing a lot of these types of problems. And I've got these types of problems in some of my courses. I created some of them on my own, like on my Python course or in my Java puzzles course. I've got various puzzles, so those need to be completed. And of course, not only those, but do these as well. So Mitch is saying, I'm from Ghana, welcome. So Cher is asking, can you create a course on blockchain development? That's what I'm learning this for. And I'm also working on a side project. So once I'm done with that project and I've gained enough experience in this, that's when I will hopefully launch a blockchain development course. And it's going to be available on my website. I can't promise when, but it'll be there. Sher Khan, that's the answer for you. So Mohammed Marty is saying slight flex. So you want me to flex? I don't know if that's what you mean, or is flex a framework or something? What are you talking about, dude? All right. So hi from New York, Avinash. Okay. Hello from Istanbul, Mohammed. Welcome. All right, so Bakr is saying, Salam Ustad Imtiaz. Thank you for calling me that. I'm not an Ustad by any means, but thank you. I signed up for the lifetime. I'm so happy to hear you will offer a blockchain class. Yes, eventually, but give me some time. I need to really learn this stuff first. So Bakr is asking, the first 2 weeks I entered crypto, the market crashed, but I'm holding diamond hands. Yeah, I mean, this is a speculative market, and I tout for just the big, if you're going to invest in this, don't put more money than you're willing to lose. And I only focus on the big names and the big things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or something. But anyway, because those are, this teaches you Ethereum contracts, right? Like, that's a thing. People are being hired as Solidity developers. If you look on dice.com, let's look at dice.com, and let's just search for blockchain in the job title. And just search that. There's a lot of jobs, right? There's just one website. So you'll see that some of these are going to require blockchain experience. So senior blockchain software engineer, senior product manager, blockchain product owner, blockchain smart contract, DeFi developer. There's these kinds of jobs are coming up left and right in blockchain. This is a new field and everyone's new. So if you just enter this space, you work hard and you learn, you will be, so to speak, if you will, an expert from the eyes of other people that don't know the space well, right? So Srinivas is, Sharma is saying, I'm a manual tester, but I am interested in development. What to do? Please help me. Can I become a developer? I know JavaScript. So that's good that you know a programming language like JavaScript. If you're a tester, and if you're a manual tester, you're fortunate enough to have a job in testing. You're at least in the field. Why don't you automate all of those things, man? Don't do manual testing. Work on the weekends or work extra to learn Selenium and start coding up and make those tests automated so that you, or look at the test cases that other developers are writing and try to understand their code, right? Uday Reddy is saying, sir, I know Python basics. Please give me suggestions how to become a data science. What are all that I need to update. So you need to learn Pandas and NumPy. Those are very important. I've got a course on Python data analytics and visualization on jobreadyprogrammer.com. Let me show you the curriculum. It's not obvious on the site because it's more of a gift that I give. Because first of all, I didn't create the course. That was created by one of my colleagues who worked at Rogers in data analytics and engineering, and he did an amazing job in creating that course. But it's on my site. It's available for you guys to take. Let me show you the curriculum for that course. This is obviously only for site members that have lifetime access, but let me show you the curriculum here. So I'm going to switch my screen. So this course is called Python for Data Analytics and Visualization. And, in the introduction, there's data and information environment setup. He helps you set up the environment. Then there's a section on NumPy. And each of these is like 20 to 30-minute lectures, right? These are not short by any means. So NumPy, there's a couple of parts. Then there's a NumPy exercise and NumPy solution. And there's some exercises that are spread out within these, within these lectures as well, I think. Pandas, Pandas is a huge section as well. Again, these lectures are not short. Part 1, Part 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, and Part 4, Pandas. And there's Exercise 1, Exercise 2, solutions. Then you got Matplotlib. So this is for data visualization. All right, so these two, Pandas is the data frames library. NumPy is also for matrix algebra and stuff. So these two, he teaches you that. He also talks about some vector stuff that you would need to know. Matplotlib is for visualization. And then there's Seaborn, which is also incredibly important, and Plotly, which is also visualization. So if you want to learn Python data science, data analytics, there's a course on that on the website as well. All right, so Edson is saying, sometimes I am feeling if you have 20 plus years of experience is not relevant for some companies hiring, not considered in the process. Are you feeling the same way? What do you think? So that's why I try to stick with the fundamentals. You have to continuously improve your fundamental knowledge and really build layers on top of layers on top of layers about your knowledge about building APIs and data structures, algorithms, and constructing good software objects and good design patterns. You need to have that mastered. And then you couple something like that with a new industry knowledge like this, you become unstoppable, right? If you couple that with, let's say, React.js, then you're just like any other UI developer. You won't be appreciated because UI changes all the time. But if you know, like, for example, a fundamentally new technology or a new industry like this, you learn master, blockchain, and then you also have layers upon layers upon layers of knowledge, hardcore knowledge about the fundamentals of software development, good software construction. You're irreplaceable, all right? And that's what I expect someone with 20 years of experience, if they've been working their whole life and they've been continuously trying to improve their software development skills, those are the skills that matter, right? So let's see what else you guys are asking. I'm just going to catch up here. There's a lot of questions being asked here. So, by the way, guys, if you like what I have to say, make sure to like this video. It really helps. Have gone through your course many times. There are concepts missing or have explained different lecture, learned, blah, blah, blah. It's very different than real world, blah, blah. So someone's asking that some of the assignments that are in the course are not as real world. I'm not sure which course you're talking about because many people have said that there are very real world and industry relevant problems. So I don't know which assignment you're talking about. There are easy assignments in the courses, and then there are challenging assignments in the course. So it really depends on where you are in the course as well. If you're in the beginning of the course, you might be dealing with easier problems, which might not be industry relevant. They might just be for you to learn what you have learned in the first section and really practice that. But if you're, later on, keep going through the course. Later on, trust me, you will see pretty industry relevant, harder problems, right? For example, let me show you the website here. So the data analyst path, if you completed the Oracle Complete SQL certification course, this is a course that it talks about, a lot of Oracle exam type questions. And, we go over different various single row functions. Many single role functions are covered on the exam, but they're not even used in the industry as much. But you kind of need to know them for the exam. But then there's the Master SQL for Data Science course, which is a huge step up. This course basically has hundreds of puzzles, and you basically become a query master. All right, like we don't just talk about these functions or operators. We use them in many different ways. Right, like the same usage of union could be used like 20 different times for 20 different types of problems. And I have pretty in-depth problems like how do you transpose data? How do you pivot data? That's covered in this course without using, for example, the pivot function in Oracle. How would you do that in raw SQL? That's covered. So it really depends on where you are in the course. Let me see what else you guys are saying. So Tony's saying the spring certification, is it still worth? Yeah, it's still worth. Boot is still kicking it. There's still plenty of Spring Boot jobs out there. If you're in the Java space, you need to learn Spring. You just have to. Okay, that's really important. Let's look at the TOB index. There's a website that I visit sometimes, the TOB index, and this goes over the top languages. So notice the top 3 languages, right, are C, Python, and Java. These are the top 3 languages. If you're in Java, you need to, of course, know Spring as well, right? Scrolling a little bit down, SQL, right? This is not really a programming language per se because it's a domain-specific language. It's a structured query language used only in the database environment. So that's why it's not number 1 or number 2. But in databases, SQL is number 1. So, but anyway, you need to learn Spring. You have to know that. So Shane is asking, are there certain areas of tech that are more friendly towards work from anywhere, than others? Oh, so meaning like working remotely? Are there certain areas that are, certain areas in software development that you can work remotely in? Pretty much all of software dev could be worked as a remote software developer, right? Whether you build websites or whether you're working in data, chances are in database development, they might, because of security reasons, require a lot more. If it's a small company, then yeah, you could work from home. But if you work for some of the big banks, they might ask you to come into the office. Post-corona world, we'll see how that goes. But everything is kind of headed remotely anyway. So who knows? Maybe the next 5 years, everything will probably be remote because that's just where the industry is headed. We have more and more tools. So if you're a software developer, but if you're a business analyst or project coordinator, you might need to be more on site than someone that's in the background building software. So if you're in software, you should be fine. If you're building software, you could very easily work remote. Emmanuel saying hello from New York. Hello. So let me see what else you guys are saying. So Venkata, rewind this video. You're saying, can you please let us know how to pursue data engineering? What exactly is required for this? So I talked about this just a couple minutes ago with Python, and I went over the course on the website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. So make sure to check that out. Check the description. I'm going to leave a coupon code for those of you that are not members yet, and you could grab it for a much cheaper price. All right, so Ilyas is asking, I have a plan to join one of the FANGs. Good. I have 10 years of experience, how to crack the interviews. So I talked about interview preparation. Make sure to rewind back and see what I talked about. So Adil is saying, hello, hey, congrats on 100K subscribers. Thank you. So Oge is saying, I want to switch to tech from Constitution. I'm not sure what that is, but I bought your lifetime membership and took Oracle SQL, and I'm currently taking Master SQL for Data Science. At what point do I start applying for jobs? Well, first, I hope that you completed the Oracle SQL certification course. I recommend both courses to be completed. Don't just take one and start applying. Take both of them because, first of all, it looks good that you know two databases on your resume. It shows that this guy is serious about databases. Secondly, the kind of problems that are in the Oracle course are different than the kind of problems that are in the data science course or SQL for data science course. The SQL for data science course is hardcore SQL puzzles and query mastery. So that is really important. And then the Oracle SQL certification course is more specific to Oracle a little bit. So you need to learn both. So make sure to take both of those. And then you also need to take the Tableau course as well. If you complete these, the entire path, you can send me an email and I'll send you an exam. And if you pass that exam, then we'll hopefully shoot your resume out to the recruiters in my network on LinkedIn. And if you don't pass the exam, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. A couple of people tried this last week. The 3 exams were sent, and they bombed all 3 exams. I'm like, did you even take the course, dude? Like, these were bad. All right. So you have to put in the work. Like I said, it's not supposed to be quick and easy. You need 3 to 4 months of hard work every day. I've said this, 3 to 4 hours a day, every single day, on the SQL courses. All right. Just because it's a 40-hour course if you combine the two, 40 hours lecture doesn't mean you can finish it in 1 week, doing it 8 hours a day. Each of those lectures need to be watched over and over again, and you need to practice the assignments over and over again. Okay. Very important. All right. So Raheem, I think I answered your question. I already answered it. If you missed it, make sure to rewind. So Edson is saying hello from Brazil. Hello. Arsham is saying daddy. Yes, I am a daddy. I completed. Okay. So Nagra is saying I completed BCA and MCA through distance education from DECE. I'm working for a startup company last 3 years. Can I get a job in MNCs? Sure, you certainly can. You get a job anywhere, dude. Just that's just work hard. I know you can do it. So some of the advice that I've given. Soleimani is saying hi from Macedonia. Give us an advice for junior software engineer, please. So I've given advice on a couple of things. Specifically, some of it is for junior level developers already. I talked about the imposter syndrome or so on. But one very, very important advice I'll give you is there's always 2 kinds of everything, right? But there are 2 kinds of people that apply for jobs or that look at a job post and approach. There's 2 different kinds of approaches, I guess. One approach or one kind of person will look at that job post and say, oh my God, there's all of these different job postings, all of these different technologies that I need to learn before I even apply to this job. I mean, what is this? They're asking me to know everything. I'm not going to apply to this job. Whereas another person might look at it and say, even though I don't know half of the things in this, I'm still going to go ahead and apply because maybe the recruiter didn't have the common sense of not copy pasting and just copy pasted this from a different job interview or whatever. Most chances are no one knows everything, right? Some of these job postings are very unrealistic because the recruiters are posting job posting every day and hiring managers don't have the time to construct a new job post every time. So they leave it up to the recruiters, and recruiters just, from HR, they copy this job posting. If it's a Java job, even though you might be building mobile apps, right? It may not even have anything to do with Android development in the job post because it's a Java. And they might copy paste Java Spring and just put nothing about Android, even though it's an Android job. You'll see that. So don't cut yourself short. Apply to every job. So that's the 2 kind of people. One that might see that I don't fit here. The other one will see and say, how can I fit here? You want to be the second type. How was my Eid? My Eid was good. Thank you for asking. So Daler is saying, I took your Oracle certification course. Perfect. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of value from it. All right, so Becker is saying, hi MTS, could you share your thoughts about Salesforce? Would you suggest it to people who have no prior tech experience? I try to refrain from recommending people about product technologies because it's just a product and it could phase out. You working in a company as a Salesforce developer has a lot to do with how Salesforce performs as a company. Like, look at what happened to Kodak, right? No, Kodak was popping at one point, and now it's not. Look at IBM, right? So if you get stuck if you invest a lot of time learning something, and obviously you will need to for Salesforce, you invest all this time learning, and Salesforce goes out of fashion. What are you going to do then? You're going to learn a new product, new technology. That's why I tell people to stay in a given industry, stay with data. If you're going to learn reports, learn Tableau. You can jump from one report tool to another. It's going to be somewhat similar, right? Salesforce is going to be very different from, let's say, some other ERP system. So you don't want to go down a path that is too narrow, because then you could get stuck there and you have to entirely redefine yourself to learn something new, right? So Salesforce, that's my point on Salesforce. I like to learn things that are much more, the skills are easily transferable across industries, across companies, and I don't see Salesforce as that. That's why I don't teach it. I don't teach UI development either, because that's too spread out, right? Every other day you got to learn a new framework. I mean, UI changes all the time, so I don't teach that. So Sandeep is saying, I have been working as a backend Java dev for 5 years, but I feel like I'm not progressing much from past couple of years. Any suggestions to improve my skill set to be good senior dev? Chances are you might have not expanded beyond the horizon within your company, so you really gotta have to pick a new project. If you feel like you're not progressing, you're not learning enough. And so you gotta stretch your boundaries there in that company, and maybe ask for working on a different part of that project, or just change jobs. That's the quickest way. If you want to really develop your skills, change jobs. And it's better to do a lot of that early on in your career. If you're if you've been working at the same company for 10, 12 years, and now all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you have to leave that company, that will be quite an undertaking. But if you have been working for 2 years in a company and now you're ready to move, we're in a fast-paced world here. And so after 2 years, move to another company, right? You can do that early on in your career, up until your, late 30s. You can keep moving on. But when you start getting gray hair like I have, you might wanna stick around for something, or maybe create a company or do some other business, or be a contractor or something. So Saima saying, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Saima here from Bahawalpur. Hey, welcome. I hope everyone in Bahawalpur is doing fine with this whole COVID situation. It's crazy. Hope you guys are okay. So Delara is saying, now I'm taking your Java course. Along with it, I am reading Danielle Liang's Java Programming Comprehensive Version. Okay, question. How important is it to focus on mathematical / algebraic exercises? Not very important at all. I mean, I'm not sure where you are. I haven't read that book myself. I don't know if it's particularly mathematical, maybe in nature, but I mean, every book is going to go over the math functions. So maybe that's the section you're at. And it doesn't. There's no harm in learning that. But it's not as important as a lot of the other stuff, like good software construction and software design principles and solid principles and software development, like the things that I teach. So Zulfikar is saying, should I learn Apache Flink or Spark or batch processing or of data for batch processing of data? Both are good options. I don't have a course on Apache Flink. I have it for Spark, and it's a Java specific course. But the same API is used in Python, with a few differences in the syntax really. But everything you learn in that course you could transfer over to Python too if you're a Python developer. But I teach Spark for batch processing, and it's supposed to be 100 times faster than a Hadoop, and it is much faster than Hadoop. So Spark, in my opinion, is more. It's probably being used more in the industry than Apache Flink. I don't know. I just got my BS in computer science. Is there a better resource that Cracking Coding Interview? It's a long book, boring book. Yeah, so you're reading Cracking the Coding Interview. Yeah, that is a long book. I can recommend take my data structures algorithms course. Even though I kind of like that book, but if you find it boring, maybe you need a visual stimulus. So accompany that book with my data structures algorithms course. You can find it on my website or on Udemy. Many people have learned a lot from that course. And also, like I said earlier in this live stream, check out the Coding Bat puzzles. Complete all the Coding Bat puzzles. So Mitch is saying, what's your website again? I don't want this live. I don't want to shill my website over and over again, but let me just show you. So it's called Job Ready Programmer, Mitch. JobReadyProgrammer.com. And you can also Google my name, and just if you type in Imtiaz Ahmad, I think the third link here. This is the site JobReadyProgrammer.com. And of course, you guys are already signed up to my YouTube channel, but I think I have links on various videos underneath in the description section where I give a coupon code. So feel free to use that if you'd like. So good to see you, Vanish. Thank you. Good to see you. So Asad is saying, how about LeetCode? LeetCode is great. It's just a little bit more involved, but I really like Coding Bat because it's simple and straightforward, and it's not a fancy UI, and there's not random problems there. All those problems are there to target specific key areas in your granular logic, right? Use both. Use LeetCode, use Coding Bat. So Zulfikar is asking, do I have to learn Java to work with Apache Flink or Spark, or do they provide APIs? So that they do provide APIs for both Java, Python, and I think there's SQL as well. Yeah, they have SQL as well. I teach the SQL API as well. You don't need to be a Java expert or a Python expert to use Spark in as like a script, but it really definitely helps knowing at least some basic programming fundamentals. So MF is saying, I just graduated with a CS degree. My dad talked me into, but have no experience in the field. I have a decent job at the post office, but would like to earn the same $60K working from home. What do I do? I think you're in the right field. Your dad recommended a good thing. I mean, a CS degree is good. But then again, it depends on whether you like it or not. That's very important. If you don't enjoy writing software, then you won't be able to excel at it, unfortunately. But again, it takes a long time to start enjoying something, right? It takes a long time. If you coded it, if you worked on something for 1 month and you scratch your head and you it's not working out for you, give it a little longer. Give it like 2 to 3 months and see progress and start building things. If you work like 2 to 3 hours a day every day, you do that for 3 to 4 months. That's when you're really going to start learning and enjoying the field, because it is frustrating in the beginning. Trust me. So you won't really know whether you like something until you really go full force into it and dedicate yourself and commit yourself to it. Okay? That's important. So Salesforce dev jobs, I've already talked about Salesforce, or any product-driven technology. If you learn that, then it's not really that transferable of a skill. If something happens to the company Salesforce, then you might be out of work as a ex-safe Salesforce developer. You want to learn skills that are transferable across multiple domains, across multiple companies, and that's why I don't teach Salesforce on my website. So Z Budget is saying, showing some gray, my friend. I just bought your Oracle course on Udemy. Much love, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of gray now. Getting old. Okay, what I have to do to learn blockchain programming? Start with Solidity. Yes, that's the way you need to go about it. But first, I'm gonna show this book again. I mean, I don't know this guy, Imran Bashir, but this book is so awesome. And I know it looks thick, but it's because of a lot of the graphics. There's a lot of graphics in this book that describe the technology at a high level, and goes into the details of building dApps and Ethereum and smart contracts and so on. Talks about DeFi and where that fits in as well. So you really just pick up one of these books, and hopefully I'll have a course on jobreadyprogrammer.com as well on blockchain. But you're gonna have to give me some time. I'm still getting my bearings in that. So Gino, hello from Venezuela. Hello, sir. So Barkley is saying, for web developers front end, do data structures and algorithms really provide me value? Yes, they do, because you're a software developer. But here's the thing: in web development, you might be stuck at trying to figure out how do I make this drop down work, right? And that could be really frustrating. This drop down is working here on this phone, but it's not working on that phone, or it's not working on the UI on the website, and you get a lot of your time could be wasted dealing with that stuff. And you might be developing a lot of UI components that might not give you an opportunity to strengthen your fundamentals in software engineering. So you might have to put in additional time after work to refresh those data structures, algorithms, learn about design principles, and really master what's going on behind the scenes. Not just learn MVC design pattern, which you probably already know since you're a UI developer, but also learn a lot of the other design patterns, right? I talk about those in my courses. So yeah, data structures is incredibly important. Don't cheap out on those, even if you are a UI developer. So who gave me one dislike? Not sure who gave me one dislike. Hopefully I was able to answer your question. If I offended you, make sure to let me know. Maybe I can clarify something. Okay, what book are you reading for blockchain? Yeah, so it's called Mastering Blockchain. It's by Imran Bashir. I'm just going to show that on Amazon right now. Mastering Blockchain. This book. It's a little dated now, but the fundamentals are still there. I mean, it was launched mid last year. But this is an incredibly awesome book. Make sure to check it out. Okay, so hi MTL, is your SQL course transferable into AWS certified developer track, or should I start studying the cloud alone? Please help me. So absolutely, as a database, well, you need to know databases as well. AWS, to be certified in AWS, you need to have a wider breadth of knowledge. You need to understand that applications get deployed on the cloud. There are SQL scripts involved. There is web services, APIs involved in building an application. And if you just learn AWS and learn the different EC2 and S2 buckets and all that, you learn those that jargon or those tools and stuff, that's not going to help you if you don't understand the fundamentals of software development. You got to have that side at least somewhat understood as well, right? So expand your knowledge base. Not just if you're learning AWS, that's great. Focus on that, but learn other things too. Like you obviously need to know Linux. You need to know what shell scripts are, right? You need to know the difference between a Python script and a shell script that's written in Bash, right? Those things are important. So brush up on that stuff too along the way. You don't have to be an expert at it, trust me. but you're in DevOps. If you're in AWS, you're in DevOps. So you got to know those that what's across the horizon there. All right. So what else are you guys saying? I'm catching up here. There's a lot of questions, guys. So please bear with me. So Richard is requesting everyone hit the thumbs up for MTS, please. Yes, thank you. So that's a good question. Jamada is saying, sorry, you had said Java has been long term and it's consistent. Yeah. Would blockchain be similar? Well, blockchain understanding. Well, first of all, the blockchain industry is going to be consistent, right? This is just the beginning. It's like internet in 1993, right? Not much changed since then. I mean, obviously a lot has changed, but the fundamentals of TCP, IP, and the fundamentals of HTML and CSS, that hasn't changed, right? So obviously a lot of HTML5 came about, and CSS and pretty CSS or whatever, sassy and all those different languages came about. They built on top of the fundamentals of HTML and CSS. So the fundamentals don't change. Blockchain, understanding how digital signatures work, how the consensus mechanisms, proof of stake versus proof of work, how they work, the differences between them, that's not going to change. That's industry knowledge that you would have to learn about anyway. You have to understand that before you start programming Solidity contracts, right? So really important. So it is definitely long-term, and it's definitely consistent. And it's going to stay, right? So I'm the instinct is saying, yo, dude, just started my first software dev internship this week, and I feel really lost so far. That's okay. Is this normal for a first professional working experience? And do you have any tips? So let me tell you, dude, when I first had my first internship, this was many years ago. This brings back memories, but I was screwing up things left and right. I was breaking everything that was there. I wasn't asking the right questions. I was too shy at that time. And, in hindsight, the biggest mistake that I made was I didn't ask enough questions. I thought everyone knew everything. That's what I thought. But the reality is no one knows everything. And people are stuck in their little domains. And they wouldn't know anything besides what they do on a day-to-day basis. I thought they would know everything about the company. They would even know what I'm doing. But that's not how it works. So expand your network there. Go to different people and ask as many questions as you can to understand what's going on. You're lost, and you're going to remain lost. That's okay. That's expected of you. Don't be shy of asking questions. Okay? That's normal. So Brandon is saying, I'm brand new to any of this. Where do I start? I want to be able to to learn how to make PC games usable by Android. So obviously you need to learn Java first. You need to learn Java really well. I teach that. You also need to learn databases. Those are fundamental technologies that you just need to learn. I don't teach games, so that's something you'd need to learn on your own. Maybe check on Udemy. There's probably many courses on game development. But you really got to have your Java down, or C++, whatever language you choose. All right, so Steven is saying, I have an interview tomorrow morning for a software development internship. I am currently going into my third year of college for CS. My question is, what can I do to prepare for the interview? Right now, if your interview is tomorrow, Steven, the best thing you could do is have an approach to the interview and figure out how you want to control, or at least have at least some control in that interview. When things start to look a little hairy, you need to have a story. And it needs to be something that creates a ponder upon the scenario. Like, it needs to make the other person that's asking you a question also curious about this problem, have them deviate away from the interview if it's becoming too challenging. I remember when I was applying for jobs, this was my second or third job. There was a question that came up that was difficult, and I didn't have the answer. I didn't even know how to approach the question. But I kind of shifted the gears a little bit and said, oh, you know what, that I'm still thinking about that question. So bear with me, but that reminds me of the time when I was trying to figure out how Facebook memberships or Facebook friendships are managed. I wonder how the table is managed, because your question reminds me of that, and I'm just thinking about that in relation to your question, see if I could answer your question for you. And then that went off on a totally different tangent, and I was in sort of a more of a control because I had already thought about the problems of how Facebook data would be managed, and it was more like a new question for both of us to explore, the interviewer as well as the interviewee, and we're lost in this new area, and I was able to impress them because I had already thought about the answers to that question. Use that, have that as a tactic, as a backup plan in case things go hairy. Okay, that's a tactic, interview tactic that has worked before. I might create a video on that. Thank you for bringing that up. Let me just write that down here. I might create a video on this because I'm constantly looking for things to talk about on YouTube. Interview tactic control. So I'll elaborate on that, but hopefully that made sense. I just finished learning Java Core. What should be my next step to get a job in it? Please do reply. So Raj is asking, your next step should be to learn, I hope you learn databases as well, right? I teach Java as well as databases. So you need to learn how to interact with data in a Java program. I teach that as well. So you need to learn SQL and you need to learn Java. Once you have these two, then you need to learn Spring framework. I teach that in the course on my curriculum on javaprogrammer.com. So check the link when I put it down there. I might add it later. But that's basically what your approach should be. Learn data next if you haven't already, and then basically just get experience in the SQL language and learn the basics of table management and create tables and delete tables and SQL queries, and then move on to Spring. So Irfa is asking, how long will it take for a person to become a software developer with zero IT background, basically from the bottom? Like I've said, it takes about 2 years to get your bearings and be comfortable at a job. So you need to be working for 2 years to be very comfortable as a software developer. But if you have zero knowledge, you can get your foot in the door as a as a database developer first, is what I recommend everybody. Get a database developer job first, so that you're in the tech industry, you're in the domain, you're learning about software lifecycle management, you're learning about scripts and how they're managed and how code gets deployed in production, and you're learning the overall environment and the jargon. And then once you're learning programming languages and front end and back end, server side, and so on the weekends while you're employed as a database developer, you can grow, right? But focus on learning SQL first. Okay, that's the fastest way, in my opinion. Let me see what else you guys are saying. So Bonnie is saying, I'm a 2 years experienced software engineer in India in service-based company. Okay, I want to switch, but I'm not confident as my 2 years was wasted as no real work in Java. So I'm assuming you were given a sort of a phantom role, or where there wasn't much going on. My recommendation is to first change your company because you're not learning enough in that company. All right, if you have 2 years of experience as a software developer in that company and you're not learning, you got to move, right? And for that, you got to first, you're still young enough, you have 2 years of experience. So You may not even be young enough. That's okay, but you're still early in your career if you have 2 years of experience. Um, Start learning data structures, algorithms again, and strengthen your SQL knowledge. Strengthen your design patterns and object-oriented design principles. I teach that on my website, and then start applying. Get a different job. All right. So Gina was asking, when will you do a Spring course with React? So I mean, Spring. I've covered pretty much everything in Spring. Um, uh, Except for Spring Batch or Spring Integration. That's those things are kind of getting old now because we got fancier things like Spark for batch processing and Hadoop and stuff. But um, with React, like I said, I try to stay away from UI. React is something you can kind of learn on your own once you have fundamental experience in software development, because things change so much in the UI. Like I launch a course in React.js, and then it's gonna get outdated because things change all the time in React. So that's why I haven't created a front end specific course. We do cover front end in the Spring course, so that is enough Spring knowledge. All you have to put is the layer. You build your services in Java. You build the services in Spring, right? And your front end could be React. That's totally fine. So learn React separately if you want. The JavaScript API calls will be from React. So just learn React and take the Spring course. I haven't found the need really to create a React Spring course because it's really just teaching React. Ahmed, thanks for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. So super chat. Okay, so Ahmed is saying, how to impress my company on first day as an intern. By the way, sorry it took so long to get to your question, but I'm trying to answer every single question. It's getting kind of long. But anyway, I don't want to miss anybody. How to impress? Well, the first thing you do as an intern, your first day should be if it's your first day in anything, ask questions. Just keep asking questions. And your questions will become more and more intelligent as you get more and more knowledge. All right. If you don't ask questions and you wait like a month before you start feeling comfortable in the environment, and then you start asking really dumb questions that you should have figured out the first week or first day, really, then that's not good. So start asking as many questions as you can the first day you're there, because in the beginning, the more stupid questions you ask, the better, right? Obviously, no question is stupid, but it's interpreted as such by, potentially cocky software developers later on while you're there in that company. So ask away. Ask as many questions as you can. So Rishab is asking, how do I get as big as you? I'm not that big, dude. I try to work out. I try to stay fit, but I'm not really that big. I'm only like 6 feet, 200 pounds. There's some really big dudes out there. So now I want to study machine learning. Do I need to go straight to, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to learn machine learning, you need to have some kind of tool, right? So Python, you need to have a programming language where you can employ some of those machine learning algorithms and build those machine learning models. So I teach some machine learning aspects. Like I think I talk about k-means clustering and regression in the Spark for Java course. I go over the fundamentals in that course. But you need to learn Python. And you need to learn NumPy, Pandas, scikit-learn, and matplotlib and so on. So I teach that. There's a course on my website for that. So you got to learn some programming language if you want to do any kind of machine learning. I mean, come on, you need to know some kind of programming language to be able to do that. Okay. So Sam is asking, show up early. I know it's getting late, guys, and I'm sorry I'm a little late. These live streams, I have to cater to everyone in India, in Pakistan, in Asia, in America. So this is really the time that I found. Maybe I'll do 2 live streams a day, one for the US, one for Asia. So Khalid is asking, what is the difference between Oracle SQL and MySQL? It's really just they test the same stuff. MySQL is a different database. Oracle is a different database. The functions are pretty much the same. You just have to learn the nuances of each. So Suraj is asking, I just finished learning Java. I covered this. I told you what you need to learn next after learning Java. If you missed that, make sure to rewind. So learning logic gates at a university at the moment, do I really need to know this stuff for software dev? Yes, you do. Um, seems pretty low level. You see, some knowledge is subconscious. Um, learning logic gates is you're not going to need that in a software development role, but just having that knowledge subconsciously will make you a better software developer. There's no doubt about it. What else? Let me scroll down. So what skills do you need to get a basic web dev internship? So if you want to go with web dev, learn React.js, learn a backend programming language like Python or Java. I focus on Java. You need to learn databases, and that's it. That should be ready. That should really be enough. But as an intern, but you're gonna need to expand your skill set if you want to stay in the front end space. You're gonna have to learn a couple of different frameworks. You're gonna need to learn OAuth and how to implement that stuff. Let's see what else. So Girma is saying, just want to say thanks. Took your course, now working as software from law background. Wow, you were a lawyer before you took my course. Thank you. It's amazing that it worked out for you and you were able to land a job. Thank you for taking my courses seriously, because I put in a lot of serious work into this, and they're designed to help people land jobs. Learning DSA is impossible. How do you stay motivated? Yeah, I mean, truth's there, saying learning DSA, data structured algorithms, is impossible. How do you stay motivated? It's just, you just have to remind yourself that learning data structures and algorithms will make you a better software developer. That's really, it requires work. Sometimes as a software developer, you won't always be doing things that you like in any field. Like, I develop software courses, and that's somewhat boring. Sometimes it's really boring editing the videos, but I have a lot of fun creating the assignments, creating the solutions, coming up with how can I trick the student into thinking that this is how the problem should be solved, whereas the solution is something else. I try to create challenging problems and industry relevant problems. I have to fetch through my experience, and that's always fun to introduce those kinds of problems. But then editing the videos is boring. So no matter what you do in life, you're always going to need to do something that's boring, and sometimes you just have to go through that to excel. All right, like reading. I mean, I find reading fun, but I know people that find reading really boring, and they still read because they know it's important for them. Those are really stoic people. So stay stoic in this journey, okay? So Venkatesh is saying, sir, I have taken your Java course, Python. I loved it. Thank you. I also know JS. Awesome. Should I go with Node.js or Django? I'd say since you already completed Python, go with Django. You already know JavaScript. Django is the next elephant in the room. It'll be very easy for you to learn Node.js later, since you already know JavaScript. But use that Python, JavaScript, Django combination. Use that to your advantage. So someone's asking, hey, Imtiaz, what job sites do you recommend the most for finding SQL jobs? So dice.com, indeed.com, Stack Overflow job site section. These are really the three. And then, of course, you have to have a killer LinkedIn profile. You got to have a killer LinkedIn profile. Take inspiration from other senior developers. Copy some of the things that they do if you want, and just sprinkle your own ingredients in there. And LinkedIn is a great place for finding work. All right. Like half of my recruiting network I found from LinkedIn. So Simon is saying Google Cloud is trash. He added the emphasis on the cough, and I can't say I disagree with you. All right, so Christian in Japan. Can a person with no tech experience learn to do this? I'm 29 and want to get into programming. Yes, absolutely. You're still pretty young. 29 is very young. I wish I was 29. Um, the world is yours, dude. I mean, you're still young. Just work hard. If you enjoy writing code, and that will take months for you to really know whether you like it or not. But if you enjoy it, there's no doubt in my mind that you will be excellent at it one day. So start it. Start learning the code. So what else? So Sayed is saying, hi Imtiaz, I see your learning path is more towards desktop apps development. Do you have a course on full stack web development? Well, the course on Spring is actually a full stack development course because we build a web application in Spring. There's a server-side component. There is we deploy the app on Amazon Cloud. We even containerize it into a container using Docker. I show you the difference between the property configuration um, for production, property configuration for QA or UAT. We talk about all that stuff, and that's a full stack course. So maybe you haven't taken that, but of course, I also focus a lot on design principles. Software design principles, object-oriented design is a transferable skill no matter what language you're using, unless you're using a functional programming language. But most jobs are in Python, which is an object-oriented language. Most jobs are in Java, which is an object-oriented programming language. Software construction is really what I focus on to help people become awesome software developers. But I do have a full stack software development course on the website jobreadyprogrammer.com. Let me show you the one I'm talking about here. This one right here. Master Spring Framework with Spring Boot. So make sure to check that out. That's a full stack. That's like 20 hours of 25 hours, I think the course is at this point, and there's a lot to learn there, okay? So Abhishek is saying, sir, after 45, do people lose their job due to ageism? I have to be honest with you. I've seen some really awesome software developers in their 50s that are really in demand, and I've seen some really terrible software developers that are in their 30s. So age is just a number. I mean, up until a certain point, I'm sure it starts to affect your mental capabilities. If you're in your late 60s, you might start to experience a little slowness. But I mean, even people in their 60s, I've seen some really solid software engineers. It really depends. Do they continue to read? Do they continue to learn new things? Are they continuing to read stuff? Are they expanding their skill set? Or are they just stuck in one job for the past 20 years building forms? They're not going to grow. Their brain is going to slow down. No matter what age you're in, your brain will slow down if you let it. So you got to constantly keep learning, guys. So if you're 45, your brain is perfectly intact. You're still sharp enough to really not lose your job if you are a serious engineer. And engineering is a constant thing. Like I like to work out. I have to consistently work out and build muscle. If I stop, I'll get fat. I'm already getting fat as I'm aging, but your muscles will atrophy if you don't use them. So same thing with software development. If you're not challenging yourself with solving problems and changing jobs, you're not going to grow. So Musab is saying, will you upload this video? Yeah, I'll upload it on YouTube. So if you miss anything, you could check it out. Where do you register for Oracle SQL certification exam? Is it taken remotely, or do we need to go to an exam center? So I think nowadays with COVID-19, I'm not sure if, right now I think it's remote. You can check the Oracle website. The exam that I teach for is Oracle SQL certification 1Z0-071. You could check the website for the first course in the data analyst path is the Oracle SQL certification course. So you might have to take that course you might have to take that exam online when you're ready. Yeah, so Nak Quarish is saying one of the biggest things I learned about jobs and applying was that if you get on the phone with a recruiter or a hiring manager in an interview, they're looking for your passion plus experience, not just experience. Absolutely, you nailed it on the head, man. Uh, Passion is so important. You have to show it. Like I have to act out right now. I'm showing passion because I care about what I'm doing here. And you have to do that in an interview. Don't be shy. Don't be reserved. Don't not ask questions. Expose yourself a little. Let yourself loose and just show the interest. Show some passion, okay? And you have to have questions before the interview. Prepare a list of questions that you'll ask. I hate when I'm interviewing somebody and they have no questions. I'm like, are you even interested, dude? I'm just trying to catch up with some of these questions. There's a lot of them. Give me a second. So, technical question: how do I send data in my database using a controller? I covered that in the Spring Framework course. That's a technical question. You could check that out. One second. So Amog is saying, what are the opportunities after MCA in India? Um, all the things that I talked about. I'm sure you have a huge industry in Java. A lot of jobs get outsourced to India. Java developers, there's some amazing Java developers there. AWS also in India. So these two, just stick with some of the things that I teach. I mean, Java is huge. All right. Just catching up here, guys. Sorry. So some technical questions. Matt is asking, would it be possible to run a game on your phone and then your friends enter your game? I mean, I don't want to answer too many technical questions. Uh, check on Stack Overflow. It's a great site to ask any technical questions that you may have. Or if you have questions about my courses, email me. But it's going to be questions related to my courses, please. Data engineer has a future. Yes. Anas is saying, what is better in your opinion, a one-year software engineer college course versus self-taught? It depends on the kind of a student you are. Some people can't hold themselves accountable, Anas. Um, some people can. Like I studied accounting in college, but while I was studying accounting, I was also studying. I was literally reading books on software development on the side. I think I was able to do it because I was driven, and I was able to land my first job in IT. But um, some people require someone else to hold them accountable. And if you're that kind of person, then maybe a one-year software engineering course is better for you versus being self-taught. It really depends. But what I've noticed is self-taught software developers are usually more passionate than people that are just taught at a university or a program. All right, guys. So just going through how do I learn Java, Daniel? You could check my website, Job Ready Program. I'm going to leave a in the description here. This is the website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. So Ilyas is saying, where do we start? a professional cert or a degree in engineering. You don't need a degree in engineering. At least I think I hope I pronounced that right. You don't need a degree in engineering. You just need a lot of training, a lot of hard work, studying, and learn that on your own. That's fine. But it's better to have a degree in something, just so you can cross the barrier that company recruiters set for. Some recruiters, they're like, this person hasn't graduated college. This resume goes in this pile, and this resume right here, this is going to go in this pile because he has a degree. So you don't want to be the one that gets thrown in the garbage, right? So if you have a degree, that's good. It doesn't have to be an engineering degree. As long as you've worked hard and learned everything on your own, that's fine. But not having a degree reduces your chances of employment. You're just going to have to work harder, okay? So I'm gonna add a lot of these questions are great questions, and I can't answer everything, and some of you, I'm sure, can contribute. I'm gonna add a Discord to this video. I'm gonna leave it in the description. A Discord channel. I just started it. Join there and let's talk through some of this stuff. Because I won't be able to answer all these questions. They're popping up left and right. And Max Speed sent a super chat. Thank you for the $10. Let me see if I can answer this one. So he's asking, Max Speed is saying, I have 14 years in IT, enterprise incident management and support. Okay, cool. Is there a way I can incorporate my previous experience into an entry-level developer position? Thanks. Yes, you're certainly going to be carrying over some of that knowledge. So that's great. You have enterprise incident management and support. So you probably deal with change control management system, or you might be using some kind of an ERP or something, some tool to manage incidents. You might be using Jira. I don't know. You're also going to have experience using a project management tool of some kind, or however you guys manage your projects and reports. So all that knowledge is transferable, right? Someone that's brand new in software development doesn't have any of that experience. So you have that upper hand of having some of those soft skills or some of that soft experience that will be very critical. And you also have stories that you can talk about in your prior job, incident management and support, right? So that is still technical, and that knowledge will carry on, and it'll help you become a better a junior software developer, right? What else? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything else, guys. I'm just scrolling up really quickly before wrapping up. I don't want this to be too late. But I'm gonna send you the link for the Discord chat and join me there, and we can ask away, and we'll try to get to your questions. So I guess that's it for now, guys. I'm gonna wrap up. There's a lot of questions, so I'm gonna leave the link to the Discord as well as the discount code for the courses. So check them out if you would like. Yeah, so Ayon is asking, hey, MTS, can you give us like 5 job titles that you can apply for after completing your data analyst course? Yeah. Database developer, data engineer. You could literally type this. Some of these are very the same. SQL developer, Tableau developer, reports developer, business analyst, project coordinator. These are some titles that you type in, and you type SQL there, you're gonna have a data job, right? What else am I missing here? Yeah, data management, database and data analysis, right? So just type that in Google, and you'll see that there are so many different job titles. Let's look on Indeed real quick. So if you type in, database developer. So Old Bridge, by the way, is a town somewhere close to where I am, and it's a very small town. So just in that small rural town, we have 147 database developer jobs. Well, it's in that area that there's Bridgewater and Piscataway or whatever. But these are, let's see, some of them are not, database developers. Some of them are a full stack developer. But sometimes they say full stack developer, but the job is focused on data. Okay, so database engineer, here's one. Obviously, they're hiring entry level as well as senior. So there's probably multiple jobs in S&P Global. Business intelligence, there's another one. You can search business intelligence developer, right? That's another software developer. Notice it's saying coordinating design, logical, physical database structures, right? Design documents to meet system requirements. There's also a database data coordination job. So programmer analyst, develop PL SQL functions as database APIs, front-end developers to manipulate database efficiency. So this also seems like primarily a database developer job. Full stack development is not database, but they expect you to have SQL knowledge, obviously. But database developer, you could type in business intelligence. And you're going to see, of course, data analyst, is the elephant in the room. Business development manager, business intelligence. Titles don't mean anything. I mean, a senior fleet operations associate, but they're talking experience with business intelligence tools. That's why you can't take the job titles too seriously, because they really could mean anything, right? It depends on what they're looking for. And there's a lot of business analyst, business intelligence, data engineer. So these are the type of jobs that you want to search, right? And this is a small town that I live in, and we've got like 300-400 jobs. As soon as I change the job title, another 300-400 jobs show up, and there's a population of only like, maybe 30 or 40,000 people that live in this town, believe it or not. So Rakim Alatu is saying, hello, Imtiaz. I think you have an exam for your students. Could you give me more information about that? So if lifetime members have an option to complete an exam after they complete all the courses, if they pass that exam, I can blast their resume over to my recruiting network, which is on LinkedIn. It's more of a personal network. It's not some system, or it's more of a personal connection that I have with the recruiters. But the exam is challenging. I don't want to ruin the relationship that I have with the recruiter. So if you don't pass the exam, I'm not going to blast your resume, right? And the exam is challenging. It's there because we want to provide good talent to some of the jobs that come about. So that answer was for Rakam Matilu. Sorry, I butchered your name. I'm sorry about that. All right, so Casey's saying, hi, Imtiaz, greetings. Just joined the membership last week. It's a gigantic course. Yeah, I know. I was having a hard time grasping some of the concepts, almost gave up. But no, I will keep trying and practicing. Yeah, I mean, learning software development is like learning to first write sentences as a baby. So since it's something that no one's born a good software developer. Just like you learn how to write sentences when you're a baby, you first got to learn the letters. Once you learn the letters, then you have to learn how to form words. Once you learn how to form words, now you have to learn about how to create a sentence, a 3-word sentence. This is a cat or something. That's a 4-word sentence. But anyway, you have to learn how to formulate sentences. Then you have to learn about good sentence structures versus bad sentence structures. Then you have to worry about insinuation. How is this sentence insinuating something different than this sentence, even though they're kind of saying the same thing with a reordering of words? And then you got to worry about how to create a paragraph or a story. Now you're talking about stories, right? And books. So that's really the same pathway for writing software. A good software developer writes clean, easy to understand code. It doesn't have to be super succinct, but it needs to be succinct enough. It's the same thing with someone that's a good communicator or someone that's a good writer. They are able to write in an understandable manner, in a succinct fashion, so that it's not too much verbiage for the reader, to try to figure out what's going on, and and it's legible. So those are important things. Same thing, the path is the same. So Mohammed Khan is asking, are you going to launch a course on data science with Python? I've already got a course on Python data science. It's on this website. It's actually private. You have to join the site for that. If you're full lifetime access. I haven't marketed that on the website for whatever reason. I don't think I want to, because it's sort of a surprise or sort of a gift, I guess, business tactic, whatever you want to call it. But it's a little gift for anyone that trusts me in these courses. I'll give you a little bit more when you join. But anyway, guys, we went over the 1 hour and 40-minute mark, and I hope this was helpful. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to leave a Discord link in the chat so that you guys can join, chat with each other, share knowledge, and I'm going to try to contribute to there as well. And if you want to check out the website or the coupon codes, I'll leave that in the description as well. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to add that to the description after this video is finished. Let me wrap up here. Thank you, guys. Please like and share. Thank you.